Welcome to the LA Hoops and Homers podcast, your home for all things Dodgers, Clippers, Lakers, and Angels. I'm your host, Derek. With me, as always, is your other host, Josh. We're excited to bring you some talk of the LA sports world.
And welcome to the LA Hometown, episode 6. We got a good one today. We have a preview of the Lakers and the Rockets.
Second
for
round
those of
series.
you that were not aware, the Rockets were able to pull it out. They beat the Thunder. Quick shout out I want to give to Chris Paul and the Thunder. They definitely overperformed this year. Quite a series. It actually came down to the last possession too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're on the Houston and the Lakers. So Derek,
Right.
What are you thinking so far?
So Lakers, after a lot of debate where the world, Lakers supposedly this underdog team that was supposed to get manhandled by the greatest 8th seed ever, or as the talk radio people would lead you to believe, easily handle Portland 4-1, a gentleman's sweep, never really look to be in trouble. Houston has a much tougher time with Oklahoma City. Oklahoma's a great team. They got good defenders. Chris Paul never gets the respect he deserves, but
and that 3-point guard between Schroeder, Shai, and Chris Paul is just
so many good players. Lou Dort really did a good job on Harden, as good as you can do, and it all came down to the last shot, where Harden blocked a 3-point shot, and a pretty crazy end of that game. But we're not here to talk about the first round. We're here to talk about the second round, where
the semi-conference finals for
the Lakers versus Houston. And this is really a battle of two styles. So I want to know your thoughts on this, but the Lakers feature a really strong bully ball offense. Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, bruising in the paint, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, two of the most physical and athletic players at their positions, in the entire league. So, and then the Houston Rockets don't even have anyone over about 6'7", 6'8". So what do you think is going to be, what are we looking at to how the Lakers can match up with this team? Are we going to go small? Are we going to stay big? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to play out. I'd always say that game one is kind of the test here. It's definitely interesting to see, though, because the Lakers play right into Houston's defensive scheme. They're known as a team that likes to give up the inside shots, and the Lakers, their primarily offense is going to be post-ups and kickouts. Anthony Davis had the third most post-ups. This year, you see LeBron likes to be a bully on post-ups, and that kind of brings me to the two keys with this series being that Houston likes to double-team players that do post-up. So you're going to see a lot of kickouts from LeBron to a KCP.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think to fully answer your question, I'd say after game one, it's kind of a test. It'll definitely be interesting to see how Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee, how they fare in this type of series, depending on Houston's defensive strategy.
Yeah, I agree. When you look at this team, I agree that it's kind of playing into their hand to post up AD on PJ Tucker and Robert Covington. A lot of these radio shows and people think that AD is gonna, this is gonna be a series where we just need to post up AD, and I think that really what this is about is AD being aggressive, like he was in games 2, 3, and 4 against Portland, where he was just defending like crazy, getting all these putback dunks, putback layups. There's a huge opportunity for AD to really get points off of just straight up hustle. And I think that is a big thing that we're going to see, especially with him probably playing more minutes than he did in the first round and more minutes at center, as well as the other big men, seeing how they can handle the responsibilities of guarding the perimeter as well as the paint. So if we're thinking about this series, I have a couple of guys that I think are going to be huge X factors for the Lakers and for Houston. One of my thoughts is about Kyle Kuzma, as always, a big turning point on the Lakers offense. And as we saw in Portland, he played incredible defense on Lillard and McCollum, some really tough guys to guard. So what do you think we're going to see from Kyle Kuzma in this series with respect to his offense and defense?
I'd say Kuzma has to make more shots. He can definitely keep that same energy and same effort on defense. They're going to need to have it, especially against Harden. I could see him getting switched onto Harden through pick and roll a couple times. But I think in order for the Lakers offense to truly be efficient, and so they don't just key in on LeBron and AD, is that Kuzma has to make more shots than he did against the Portland series.
Hmm.
Um, I think you definitely want to see a games 1 through 8 in the bubble of Kuzma, where he can really get to his shot, take his shot. He's not afraid to take it, and is being a little bit more aggressive. Because I think he kind of took a step back, not on the defensive end. His energy was still there, but his shot making ability kind of dropped a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think that his offense certainly wasn't as great, but he definitely played a huge role. Might have still been our third best player in that series with his ability to limit
Mm-hmm.
perimeter scoring. And I think that you might see him draw the matchup of guarding Westbrook a lot of the time, given that
Yeah.
he has a nice combination of size, being 6'9", I believe, which is he's not really thought of as being a big guy, but he is, a pretty well built dude, and he's pretty athletic for his size, so he can stay in front of Westbrook maybe more than Caruso, who does a good job on crafty guards like Damian Lillard, but maybe will struggle with a guy that's just pure motor like Westbrook. We'll have to see how that
Hmm.
turns out. Another guy I think could be a
Yeah.
big factor is playing a lot of backup center, Markieff Morris. I remember in that
Mm.
first game against Houston after they made the Capella trade, Morris was just coming to the Lakers, and he had a couple of really good putback layups and stuff. And he's just a really strong and another hustle guy. I think that if Dwight Howard gets into early foul trouble or isn't able to keep up with the being able to defend the perimeter and the paint, you might see Markeith get some really big minutes, as he was playing
Yeah.
big minutes in the first round as well.
Mhm. Especially if you see more, or the Lakers try to go smaller too,
Hmm.
Morris could get a lot more valuable minutes. I do want to transition to my X factor for this series. You
Yeah,
mentioned him, Kuzma. Is going to be Russell Westbrook.
yeah,
I think some people he's seen a little bit of hate recently. He's still the same guy that averaged a triple double 3 straight years. He's coming off that quad injury. He looked, he started to look a little bit more explosive in game 7, making a couple more shots. And if he's clicking, it's going to be really tough for this Lakers defense to try to hold Westbrook and Harden.
yeah. I agree. You were telling me a stat that really blew my mind about his shooting in the regular season. What was that
Yeah.
that you're
He
saying?
shot 47% this year from the field, too, which is a
That's
career high
crazy.
for him by far. Also, his free throw percentage is up to 76% from 66% last year.
Yeah,
So I think you've seen this Houston offense. He's starting to get more looks. If you can hold the Westbrook, I mean, ideally, if Westbrook wasn't playing like last series, you have Harden. You're able to guard the other 4 guys on a penetration drive. But if you have Westbrook, that's a constant threat. He's extremely explosive. Is always getting to the paint. You can't have a Dwight Howard or Anthony Davis just sitting in the paint waiting for him because you have a Covington, a PJ Tucker, and Eric Gordon on the perimeter,
mm.
kind of making you play that one-on-one matchup, which is what Houston wants.
And I think you brought up his free throw percentage. This Houston team with James Harden, who's obviously a wizard at getting to the free throw line, super
Mm-hmm.
crafty, has all these swim moves as he gets to the basket, and is able to draw a lot of contact. Their goal is going to be to get Anthony Davis, LeBron James in some foul trouble so that our offense grinds to a halt.
Quickly too, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing to look at, but I think that also plays both ways because the Lakers are going to be just as physical or more physical. So guarding Anthony Davis on the pick and roll is going to be a lot of probably touch fouls being called on PJ Tucker and Robert
Mm-hmm.
Covington. And if you get into there, they already don't run a deep rotation. If you can
Yeah.
get some of those early guys in foul trouble, it might really mess them up and allow our offense to really go off.
Yeah,
What do you think
if
about
you
that?
can really get Jeff Green and Austin Rivers playing a lot of minutes this series,
Yeah,
you're definitely turning the odds in your favor. I don't think, I mean, LeBron played with Jeff Green in Cleveland. He's getting up there now in age. I don't see him in being able to stop the Lakers' bigs, and I definitely expect, at least in game 1, the Lakers try to test this out by putting immediate pressure and constantly forcing guys to foul them because you don't really have someone that's going to stop LeBron. You don't have someone at all that's stopping Anthony Davis kicking it out to the shooters. So I expect this Lakers team to come right out the bat and playing really aggressive, running downhill like they like to do, putting immediate pressure on Houston's inside, forcing PJ Tucker to foul, get in foul trouble, because you really want to see Houston's bench come out, and you really want to get minutes. They just came out of a 7-game series. Their legs are already pretty tired. Westbrook's coming off an injury. He doesn't want to play. D'Antoni's not going to want to play in 40 minutes a night. So if you can really put these guys under pressure and force a lot of these role players, especially if their legs get tired too, they're shooters, that's when you're going to start to see them go over 27. We hope for a streak like that, right?
Yeah.
But that's where you start to see their shooting percentages fall when they get a little bit more tired too.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be crucial for the Lakers to run as much as they can, get out in transition before the defense can set up, and try to get these mismatches. And especially if LeBron can get going downhill, even if he misses the layup, it collapses the defense so much that it's going to open up so many opportunities for JaVale, Dwight Howard, Kuzma, AD to come swooping in for offense rebounds, putbacks, kick out to shooters, that it's going to be really tough for Houston to stop that ability to score. I also saw a crazy stat. I don't remember the exact numbers, but LeBron and AD have played almost 100 less minutes than Harden and Robert Covington in the first round. So look for LeBron and AD to kind of try to push the pace, hoping that these guys can't keep up. And I mean, because let's be honest, the Houston Rockets are far less athletic all around than the Lakers, but with the exception of Westbrook, everyone on the team is a worse athlete. Harden is a great scorer, not great athleticism. Robert Covington's great, PJ Tucker's great, but neither of them are high flyers or real quick guys. So I think we have a huge advantage with size and athleticism, and hopefully we can just wield that in a way that'll get us some easy points.
You mentioned Harden too being a wizard. I think he's gonna. I'm kind of scared to say this, but I think he's gonna have a great series simply because he's been used to having Dort pester him now for the last 7 games. I just don't see that level of intensity seen on the court. I mean, you have Alex Caruso, who's been kind of aggressive. You could put LeBron on him. You could put.
I think Danny Green will be the guy who draws the assignment.
Yeah, I don't know if Danny Green's going to be able to match that same intensity.
That's true.
Yeah.
Danny Green is definitely not as physical or as quick as Harden, but I think he's guarded him pretty well this season. The size being 6'7" or 6'6", whatever he's listed at, and just the familiarity. I mean, you're not going to stop Harden, obviously, but I think that the Lakers have also had the luxury of 5 or 6 extra days since their last game, where they've been focused on hopefully game planning for Houston as well as OKC. It ended up being Houston, so game planning to figure out how to defend these guys. Are we going to see double teams on Harden, as we've seen a lot in the regular season, and traps? Or, I mean, the Lakers have been really good in scramble situations where there's a double team and then they're passing around the perimeter. Guys have been making really crisp rotations. So I think we'll be pretty in a good position to double team and do that.
Yeah, and Houston's guards, or I should say Covington, didn't look too great defensively against OKC, at least in game 6 and 7 from what I saw. Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder are getting by him pretty easily and putting pressure on the inside, kind of opening up the offense. And so I can only imagine what someone like LeBron is going to do with all that speed and size, just pounding it inside the paint, like you said, to really kind of open things up for them.
All right, you know what? I think it's time. A lot of people have been asking for this for our first special segment on the LA Hoops and Homers podcast. This is our segment called
All In.
We're all in.
submitted 3 bets that neither of us has seen before. So I'm gonna read them out. We're gonna try to bet or choose the over or the under. We'll see which one of us knows more about this upcoming series. And
All
one
right.
of these bets we have to go all in on. Which one we would definitely bet all our money on. And so we will see. So I'm gonna read out these questions. You ready for this, Josh?
I'm ready.
Okay. The first one I have here is for the Lakers. How many alley-oop dunks will there be? The over and under is set at 3.5 alley-oop dunks
For the game or the series?
for game 1.
Oh, game 1.
Yes.
I'm going under.
Under. Okay.
Under. I say 3.
You say 3. Yeah, it's a pretty good line. You know what
Or
though?
2.
I think it's gonna happen. I think LeBron's gonna be throwing those things right up. Anthony Davis crashing down. I'm gonna go over. But yeah, I think that's a good line. So I'm not gonna go all in on that one. But so you say there's gonna
I
be
said
under
under.
3.5 lob dunks. I'm saying over. That's our first bet of the day. We'll see who gets that one right. Our second bet of the day is LeBron and Anthony Davis points at 59.5.
All in over.
Yeah, that one is. I think I got to go over. I think in game 1 you're gonna see them come out and try to step on.
I say LeBron's going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is going to be aggressive. Houston has been through a 7-game series fighting for their life. I get it. They have 2 past MVPs and 2 guys that have been in this league for a while. Both have been able to make pretty deep playoff runs in the past, but I just see them coming out, LeBron being LeBron.
All right. So you're going all in over. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go over as well. I'm not going all in
Not going all in?
because I've just looked at the last one, and I'm gonna go all in on this one.
Okay.
This one is the Rockets' 49.5 3-point attempts. You there, Jacob?
49.5?
49.5 3-point attempts. I'm going all in over. I think
That's
they're
so
gonna
dumb.
shoot.
They average like 50-something a game, don't they?
I don't know. I think they average just under 50.
I think in the playoffs they average like 50-something a game.
Huh.
But yeah, I'm
So
going to
you're
say
going over
over
as
that
well.
too. Oh,
Yeah,
no
I'm
doubt.
going all in on that one. So
Mhm.
so I'm over on all 3. You are under on the amount of lobs, but over on the other 2. So this will be
All
fun.
in on-
It'll be an extra wrinkle to watch for in the game, and we will see who comes out on top.
Yeah, we're all in.
And I just want to make a comment too. I think that's what makes Houston so dangerous.
Yeah.
When you think about it, they live and die by the 3. And when they're hitting it, it doesn't really matter. I guess that's the weird thing is that you have this paradox where this team can lose in the first round to a definitely undermanned Thunder team when compared to the Rockets, but they can also, you can see them very well making a title run if they get hot. Like they put up the shots, and if they make them, they win. If they miss them, they lose.
Yeah. So this season they averaged 45.5, 45.8 3-pointers. And in their last 3 games are averaging 47 3-pointers. And in game 7 they shot 49. So it is actually a pretty close line. So, but I do think they're gonna shoot over because I think the Lakers are it's just gonna be so intimidating to go inside. And yeah, it's just the variance on if they hit a bunch of threes, if Lakers can play really good and still lose if they just are really hot. And if they're not hot, Lakers can just overpower them. So we will have to see on that one.
Yeah. And I guess to further cement your point, earlier this year, Anthony Davis, when they were playing Houston, I think it was in that February or March game after the Rockets had traded away Capella, Anthony Davis went 14 of 21 from the field, but he was still -4 during his minutes in that game. Because again, if Houston gets hot and their shooters make the shots, it's just
There's not a lot you can do.
could be a long game. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right. I think it's time to finish up with our predictions for this series. We made prediction on the first series, and my predictions was correct. They would lose the first game and win the next 4.
Derek is
So-
1-0.
Yeah, and you were, very close. You said they'd win all 4, and it was very close. So Well, I will go first.
Mhm.
I haven't thought too much about it, but I really think the Lakers are going to be fine. I think the Lakers win in 6 games.
Ooh.
I think a couple of games, Harden gets really hot and makes it tough. I think the Lakers come out strong and win the first game and look dominant. And then I think they end up winning the series in 6 games, potentially 5, but maybe 6 games. What are your thoughts?
I say it's going 7.
Okay.
I say the Lakers pull it out. I know that there's been somewhat of somehow the Lakers are underdogs in this series. I don't buy it.
Yeah, what is that about?
Did you see on 538 they
Yeah.
said that the Lakers had a 35% chance of winning this series, which
They
is
said that before the Rockets
absurd.
even won their game last
no.
night.
I see the series going 7. I think you see Westbrook as more games get played. He's getting healthier. I keep talking about Westbrook, but before this whole coronavirus, he was starting to look like his old MVP self.
Yeah.
You have Harden. He's not going to be missing shots forever. And I just think it's going to be a battle back and forth. Ultimately, the Lakers will prevail in Game 7. I think Game 7 will be a blowout too, but 7 games again. Here we go.
Yeah. I think no matter what, we are in for a fun series of a battle of 2 very different play styles. A lot
Extremely
of
different philosophies, yeah.
3 MVPs, LeBron, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. A couple of great defensive players in Dwight and AD. It is going to be a basketball nerds daydream, like
Another
dream series.
star-studded series. This should be fun.
So we're looking forward to the first game. Starts Friday night. That's tomorrow for us. I hope you all watch and send in any questions you have about the game, and we'll go over it sometime during the middle of the series. And I know we're both really looking forward to this game, and looking forward to seeing how it turns out.
And for those of you Clipper fans out there, I know there's not a whole lot of you. We will be getting a little coverage on the Clippers and Nuggets series very soon.
Yep. All right. Thank you all for listening. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at LA Hoops and Homers. And thank you for taking some time to listen to us talk today.